So the Iowa caucus is just 30 days away now. Even before this first test of 2020, the number of Democrats running for president, it's starting to thin out. This week, Julian Castro became the latest to exit the race, leaving the once historically diverse field with one less minority candidate. And now Marianne Williamson's campaign is fighting to survive. They've laid off all staff nationwide. She is committed, though. She says she's staying in this race. And a lot of people are wondering, well, how do you move forward? Well, Marianne Williamson is with us now. Ms. Williamson, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You have fought so hard, and I know this had to be a really tough move for you to have to lay off these people. At what point did you realize that it had to happen?
Well, I think that campaigns regroup. It happens. I think that what matters here is not the business of politics. What matters is our democracy. What matters is the message. What matters is the relationship between the candidate and the voters. And I think that that relationship gets lost sometimes these days. Most of the time it gets lost in the big horse race conversation and the staff and the money and the polls and the business of it all. And that's a corruption of our democracy. So I'm here because of the conversation I'm having with the American people and the option that I'm presenting to the American people, not only for how we can defeat Donald Trump this year, but also how we can move this country in a very different direction. And that's what matters to me. What matters to me is that we need a season of moral repair. We need a coalition of heart and conscience in order to align our public policies with the angels of our better nature. We have millions of American underserved, at-risk, traumatized children we need to rescue. We need to have an agenda for waging peace, not just endlessly preparing for war. We need to create a healthier society, not just treat sickness, but actually incentivize health. We have to have a deeper conversation and a deeper reparative measures about racial reconciliation in this country. We need to have a World War II level mass mobilization in order to reverse climate change. We need to move from a dirty economy to a clean economy, from a war economy to a peace economy. These are the things that matter. Economic justice, removing the scourge of wealth inequality, where only 1% of Americans own more wealth than the bottom 90%. The erosion of our democracy. We're not even behaving like a vital democracy anymore. We are a vital corporate aristocracy. We repudiated that in 1776, and we need to repudiate it again. This is what matters in a campaign.
There are a lot of people that your message really resonates with them. And there was something you said last time you were on the air about how we're not governing with a conscience. And I think that struck a lot of people as well. How do you continue, do you think, to keep your message out there if, at some point you have to bow out of this part of the candidacy?
If that happens, I'll know. And on any given morning, I think we all wake up and ask ourselves, how do I best use the resources that I have in my life, my skill set, in order to contribute to the world in which we live. And if on any given morning I wake up and I think, that's not the way to do it today, then I won't do it. But in the meantime, I think what you said is so important. I do believe the average American follows the dictates of conscience to the best of our ability. That's not where the problem lies. The problem is that our public policy is not driven by the dictates of conscience so much as it is driven by the dictates of short-term financial gain for the stockholders within huge multinational corporate interests. That's a divergence of critical import, not only in terms of who we are as people, but what we are as a democracy and whether or not we are thriving as a society that is committed to the democratic and humanitarian values on which we were founded.
So you said something really interesting this week regarding that, about the human society as we know it. The statement that you gave after the news came out about the situation with Iran over the last 24 hours. In that statement, you included this line: "Not enough Americans hate war today. A rampant casualness about it is one of America's biggest problems. It's not a policy, but rather an attitude that now threatens. War has become, for too many, just a big ho-hum." Certainly there are military families, I'm sure, that would not fall into that category by any means. They understand what's at stake. But are you saying there that people don't care, that they're ignorant, that they're reflecting maybe the images of movies as opposed to the images of reality? I mean, what point are you trying to make there?
What we have here are generations of Americans now who have never known a state have never known a time when America was not at war. You know, I come from a generation where there was a distinction between America at war versus America not at war. We have entire generations who have never known America not at war. And so too easily, people become desensitized these days to the horrors of war. Now, when you mention military families, they're sure not desensitized to the horrors of war, but too many Americans are. They have known, and as you said yourself, the glamorization of war, the almost sexualization of brute force that has become too common in our media and in our society. And so the search for peace is not enough of a conversation in the United States. You know, we don't just treat sickness, we also cultivate health. And we can't just endlessly prepare for war. We need to cultivate peace. And that's the conversation. This is why I want a Department of Peace. We should have a peace-building academy as well as a military academy. We should have peace games as well as as well as war games. You know, President John F. Kennedy said that if mankind does not end war, war will end mankind. And as president, I would want to declare that the United States will lead the effort whereby we can see that at the end of this century, we won't be alive to see it, but you don't live a meaningful life just for yourself or just for your generation. We should lead the way to a time at the end of this century where if humanity has not ended war, at least they can see the end of war down the road.
So let me ask you.
Our greatest president, yes.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to get this in before, as we're running out of time, but there are many, many analysts who have been on our air who have said that it was necessary to take out this general in Iran, so to speak, that he was a man who had killed and was responsible for thousands of American lives. And your peace and your nonviolence portraits are pivotal to the campaign I know that you've been putting out there. But if you were president, if you had the option of a drone strike like this against somebody like him,
well,
could you press that button?
That
Let's ask you that. Could you press that button? How would you handle that decision?
I could press that button if I thought it was a good idea. I don't believe that taking out this particular man was a good idea. It's not that he was a good man or nice man, but there were, you know, the Bush administration and the Obama administration were very aware of Soleimani. And both of those administrations made the calculated decision that he was more dangerous dead than alive. He was already a hero, and now he'll be a martyr as well as a hero. By taking out this particular man, we did not, they talk about how there were imminent attacks. This did not end the imminent attacks. This did not make American military or civilian personnel in that part of the world safer. It made them more endangered. This creates more risk because now you have the Iranian government declaring that they will take vengeance for this. And I think that it is reasonable to assume that in every way possible that is what they will try to do. I do not believe that killing Soleimani made this a safer country or a safer world. Could I make such a move if I thought that that action did? Absolutely, I could and would. That's an oath you take as commander-in-chief. But I just believe that this move was reckless, irresponsible, and dangerous.
Marianne Williamson, thank you for taking time to be with us today. Good luck in Iowa.
Thank you. Thanks.